Project Exodus is the brand new Mack Rides roller coaster coming to Thorpe Park in 2024. We have recently heard the official name be revealed for this coaster. It's going to be called Hyperia, and this is going to be the new tallest and fastest roller coaster coming to the UK, a Mack Rides hyper coaster in 2024 at Thorpe Park. Thorpe Park is one of the biggest and best theme parks here in the UK, and Hyperia will be a truly fantastic addition to the park. However, let's look a bit further into the future than just next year, and just next year with the 2024 season. After Hyperia is added to Thorpe Park, they will have a collection of 8 roller coasters. There is currently 7 operating roller coasters, which will obviously go up to 8 when Hyperia opens next year. However, let's look a bit further. What will Thorpe Park's next coaster be after Hyperia? Now, I know we're potentially being a bit adventurous here. This is the first coaster to be opening at the park since the Swarm opened in 2012, the park's B&M Wing coaster. It has been a massively long overdue new roller coaster addition to Thorpe Park, 12 whole years after the Swarm will be when Hyperia opens next year in 2024. However, let's be nice and optimistic. Merlin Entertainment have seemed to add a lot of new coasters to their parks around the world over the past few years, and let's hope that whatever went wrong in the past 12 years at Thorpe, because clearly something went wrong, you know, the park took a big downfall, not just in terms of new additions, in terms of new coasters, but overall people's perceptions of Thorpe went quite badly down in the past 10 years or so. And I think, let's look positive. Let's say Thorpe Park are going to get a new coaster at some point in the next few years after Hyperia, and let's look at a few predictions, my thoughts and opinions on what could be the next new coaster coming to Thorpe Park. So if you do enjoy today's video, please do give it a like. It massively helps out the channel. Subscribe to Coasternaut for more videos like this in the future, and let's get into today's video. Thank you very much for watching. So, as I said at the minute, Thorpe Park currently has 7 operating roller coasters. Let's just go through them and see what potential gaps they have in their lineup. Obviously, Hyperia will be their 8th coaster. This is a Mack Rides hyper coaster, so they're going to have a coaster over 200 foot tall there, 236 feet to be precise. It's going to have a multitude of different inversions in there, but I think most importantly, what Hyperia will give the park is that absolutely insane standout coaster, a truly elite coaster. Every park needs that one coaster which could potentially be in most people's top 5s, top 10s, and I think Hyperia will definitely be that coaster, and importantly offers airtime. Airtime is an element that we don't really see a lot of here in the UK. You know, we have lots of rides that feature inversions, but airtime is something we don't really have in the UK, and I think some of the elements, especially that Outer Bank Hill into that sort of roll inversion, I think some of the airtime elements on this coaster are going to be absolutely insane. Some of the strongest airtime anywhere in the world, not just here in the UK, and therefore they don't really need anything, in my opinion, that has that massive, crazy ejector airtime featuring inversions as well. They have Colossus, which is a massive inversion machine. That was obviously the first ever 10 inverting roller coaster by Intamin. Flying Fish is their very small junior kids ride. Nemesis Inferno is a B&M inverted coaster, also offering inversions. They have a lot of inversions in this park. Saw the Ride, that's a Gerstlauer Eurofighter, another coaster offering lots of inversions, and it has a unique beyond vertical drop, the only beyond vertical drop in the park, so they don't really need anything like that either. Stealth is an Intamin accelerator coaster, also over 200 foot tall. This is their only launch coaster in the park, but again, another coaster over 200 foot tall, so unless they were going to build a Giga or a Strata, which obviously they're not going to, they don't really need anything over 200 feet tall in my opinion. The Swarm, a B&M Wing coaster, another coaster featuring inversions, but this one's slightly more elegant than the other ones. And then they have the Walking Dead The Ride, which is an indoor coaster. So I think when we look at this current coaster list they have, the 7 are currently operating coasters plus Hyperia to make it 8, there's 2 notable identifiable gaps in my opinion. And what those would be is a wooden coaster and a family coaster. They have a junior coaster in Flying Fish. We'll start with the family coaster idea at first before we get into the wooden coaster idea. But in my opinion, they should be the new next 2 coasters that come to Thorpe Park. Sorry, got my words twisted a bit there. In terms of a family coaster, I think, like I say, they have a very small junior coaster with the Flying Fish ride. However, they don't have something which is truly for families. You know, if you look at the actual coaster of The Walking Dead The Ride, that is a bit of a family layout, that should be considered a family coaster. But obviously The Walking Dead is quite a graphic and dark theme, and therefore isn't necessarily going to be for all the family and for kids and such. So what they need is, in my opinion, a modern family coaster. And I think what a great a new addition for the park would be something like Javelin or one of the Intamin straddle coasters. I think, you know, one of these multi-launch Intamin straddle coasters would be absolutely fantastic for the park. You know, we've seen something indoors like Dark Coaster open recently over at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be indoors because they have The Walking Dead the ride. Obviously, you have a multitude of these Intamin straddle coasters at the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens parks over in the States, and I think something like that would be fantastic. Something like Javelin over at Jersey Summerland would also be great. A modern Intamin family launch coaster that offers a very different style of launch to Stealth. Obviously, that's a very intense, very fast hydraulic launch, and something LSM multi-launch would be really cool. They don't offer a multi-launch coaster at the park, something which is tailored towards the families, no inversions in there. There's lots of nice little whippy twists and turns, maybe some slight floater moments of airtime to get the younger kids actually introduced to airtime, so they can then go on to ride something like Hyperia in the future. I think this would be a really great addition to the park, and if, in my opinion, they do need a new family coaster, and that's what I would go with if it was up to me, some sort of multi-launch Intamin straddle coaster. In terms of the wooden coaster, this is obviously a big gap at the park. They don't currently have a wooden coaster. All of their 8 coasters when Hyperia opens are steel coasters, and I think a lot of UK parks could obviously do with a wooden coaster. Wicker Man that opened at Alton Towers in 2018 by the GCI group. This was the first wooden coaster to open anywhere in the UK since Oakwood opened Megaphobia. Over 20 years between the last wooden coasters that opened in the UK, and let's be honest, we're not really probably going to see a new wooden coaster in the UK in at least the next 2 or 3 years. So by that point, it would be coming up to 10 years anniversary from Wicker Man, which in my opinion would be a perfect new time to add another new wooden coaster to the UK. I think again, it probably GCI is the best company to work with here. I think obviously GCI and Gravity Group make some great wooden coasters out there. Gravity Group have made some larger thrill wooden coasters, such as Cuchulainn at Emerald Park in Ireland, closer to home, but most of the Gravity Group wooden coasters are sort of on a family scale. Obviously you got Wood Express at Park St. Paul, something like Oscar's Wacky Taxi at Sesame Street over in the US, but in my opinion, Gravity Group will be the wrong company to go with here, unless they were to create something very big, very large, one of the biggest coasters they've ever made, something like Cuchulainn. But in my opinion, something like well, if it was to be Gravity Group, it just came across me then, you know, potentially something like Hades 360 over at Mount Olympus, that would be fantastic. But in my opinion, a great twister layout from GCI would be fantastic. Thorpe Park actually had plans before, I'm not sure if anyone knows this, but actually had plans previously to building Saw the Ride in that plot of land in the back left corner of the park near Colossus and in front of where Hyperia will now stand in 2024. Before they built Saw the Ride, the Gerstlauer Eurofighter, they actually had planned to build a GCI wooden coaster in that area of land, obviously on a much larger scale than something like Wicker Man, because they have no height limit like Alton Towers do, and I think this would be an absolutely fantastic ride for the park. I actually wish they went with that over Saw. Saw's not one of the best rides at the park, but you know, it's an IP ride. It's the Beyond Vertical Drop is a very unique element. It's good for the GP. They like it, so I can see why they went with Saw. But in my opinion, yeah, now that it's been probably, by the time it would open, 2027 at the earliest, I would guess, nearly 10 years since Wicker Man, yeah, go and add a GCI wooden coaster. Fantastic, big twister layout. Something like Troy at Toverland, that would be amazing. Wodan at Europa Park, something like that. Absolutely fantastic for the park. So if it was my opinion, the 2 coasters they should add next should be some sort of Intamin family straddle launch, multi-launch coaster, and a big GCI wooden twister coaster. Let me know what you would add to Thorpe Park if you could add their next coaster after Hyperia in the future. Do you agree with me, or do you think it should be something completely different? I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Once again, guys, thank you very much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, please do give the video a like. It massively helps out the channel. Subscribe to Coasternaut for more videos like this in the future. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.